My relationship with the ocean, it's been a kind of an immersion into the ocean, if you like. It's been a way of life, it's offered me adventure and numerous challenges. And it's also been part of a natural healing process for me from past traumas. It's a connection to nature that has really helped me manage some of the situations that I've found myself in life. I guess, although it sounds very romantic, I like to think of the ocean as being my home. Certainly in so much as I live on a boat, go swimming every day, and when I go to work, I'm going to work in a sea kayak or sometimes on a sailboat. Immersing myself into this environment has allowed me to both explore the ocean and the coastal seascapes, but it's also allowed me to explore at a very deep and intimate level that emotional landscape that lies inside of all of us. You know, when I get up in the morning and I get out of bed and my eyes are a bit sleepy and I go down to the beach, it's like every day is a new baptism. It's like every day I'm just totally immersing myself in Mother Nature, and I've never once come out of the ocean feeling worse than when I went in. Yeah, it's such an incredible experience. You're focusing, you're in your head, you're in your breath. Absolutely beautiful.
I'm shaking, really cold. About half an hour? Yeah, I was in a long time. All right then, darling, I'm having some coffee now. And have a good day. See you later. See you later, darling.
I was raised on a military camp in North London, and following in my father's footsteps, I joined the army at the age of 16. My first few years of service saw me in West Germany with NATO, took me to Northern Ireland. I went out to the Central America and I was patrolling the jungles of Belize and served with the United Nations in Cyprus. Experiencing the outdoor life of a soldier left a positive mark upon me. And although the military discipline didn't really resonate with me, I loved the teamwork and the camaraderie and the simple outdoor lifestyle that those operations offered me. And I really enjoyed what the military life was about for me at that time. I went in at 16 and came out at 25. I was lost. And I was really angry towards the military. They'd sort of turned me into this fighting man when I needed to fight to protect my family. And those skills had come in handy, but I was never taught how to keep those skills in check. When I reached out to them for support, they turned their back on me, and that left a deep-seated anger in me, and it was an anger that was to last for quite a few years. You know, you can only be angry with a system or angry with others for so long before you turn that anger onto yourself. And you know, over a period of time, my life just started to fall apart. When I met Hadaz, I asked her where she'd most like to paddle, and she'd said Hokkaido. I said to her, you know, how do you fancy paddling around all of it? So we started to develop a plan, but when we realized just how badly affected Japan was by typhoons and tsunamis and monsoons, earthquakes, how do you plan for anything like that? So we just decided that we'd turn up in Tokyo and we would just paddle as far as we could in the time that we had.
Here we are, stuck in Kodamari. We've got Hokkaido, 40 kilometres that way. We've got a typhoon due in at about 12 o'clock tomorrow, which is holding us up. So we want to show you the difference between tonight and tomorrow. sheltering here today and trying to escape from another typhoon, which is going back to back with another typhoon on its way up from the Philippines. The swell gets pretty big, and this is probably going to hold us up for a couple of days.
Sometimes I have these moments where anger and anxiety would blossom. I would paddle as hard as I could. I can remember so much anger venting itself, but what I found was no matter how hard I stabbed the ocean with that blade, it would yield. It would accept all of my energy, and it just sucked it out of me. I needed to feel challenged. I needed to feel as if life was worth living, and sea kayaking gave me that desire to give back. And I think it was while I was going around Japan that I realized this is me, this is what I do, this is where I'm supposed to be. I was in that flow state. What I found was the positive aspects of what I learned in the military, of how to look after people in stressful environments, how to develop strategies under pressure, of how to be able to read the environment ahead. I knew that all of these would find themselves into my sea kayaking. And that's what I started to develop. I started to outline a career, a roadmap forwards. And I needed to build myself up into something that was credible and of substance and of meaning. And all that came about while I was on that journey in Japan. It develops in me a thirst for more adventure and a thirst for more experiences. We finished back where we started from exactly 6 months to the day. And I came back there totally refueled. When you start to plan a journey, you come up with a blueprint for how you're going to complete that journey. And now, having completed quite a few, not one of them has ever gone according to plan. As soon as you start bringing in environmental factors of wind, wave, tide, swell, surf, and you know that things are going to start going wrong. They're not going wrong, they're just giving you the adventure that you're craving. And I was craving that adventure. I've alluded before to people being like onions. We developed this husky exterior. I had a really thick husky exterior when I left the army. And what I find is that being out in the wilderness or being out in nature, it gives you the capacity to be able to remove those layers and to expose the real you, who you are. And that's what I get so much. I find myself on expedition. I find myself when I'm on a journey. And that's when I'm happiest. Yeah. When I take people away on an expedition, I never know what they're going to experience. And what I've found is that nature does give them what they need, not necessarily what they want. It brings about a certain feral side of their nature. It brings out about the real natural person that lies inside of those layers. I've had people who have lost life partners come on expedition to try and re-find themselves. I've had people that have lost jobs or trying to realign their career. Different people will come to an expedition for different reasons. My job is to keep them safe in a wilderness environment. Sometimes I'm there to pick up the pieces, and that might be in a physical sense or it might be in an emotional sense. If you're going to engage in the wilderness, you need to be prepared for it. And I love to be able to provide that training. So I love to be able to get people out on courses and to make them stronger paddlers or make them stronger outdoor individuals.
I've known Jeff for a few years and we met through our passion of swimming, really. And we obviously shared a passion for expeditions and just being out in nature and pushing ourselves. The nice thing about Jeff was that he understood that I was experienced in the water and comfortable in the dynamic situations, but I haven't spent much time in the kayak, so he was very happy to allow me into situations that he might not have let a learner who hadn't ocean experience beforehand. He would say, this is technically out of your comfort zone, but you can totally do this. So when I first was kayaking with Jeff, I realised that I'd spent my life in and around the sea, but all of a sudden I was experiencing and interacting with it in this new way. It added a depth that I didn't know was there to the way that I interacted with the world around me. I think Jeff would be quite open in saying that his path through life hasn't been linear, which he's very honest about. Different careers, lived in different places, had ups and downs and ebbs and flows. And the fact that he's found something that he's now so experienced, I don't think that there's many people that offer the lessons that Jeff is offering. You know, sea kayaking has been where he's really found himself. And I think if you can be around that, you absorb a lot of his interesting takes on life.
My connection to the ocean has been one of healing, one of challenge and adventure. Although it came from a traumatic past, it's offered me a life that was so rich and rewarding. I've enjoyed paddling numerous coastal miles of endless horizons. I've seen some sunsets and wildlife of an incredible variety. It's been a place of adventure. It's been a place where I've managed to challenge myself. At the time, it was really hard. What I found, the ocean offered me an escape from those unhappy moments. It felt as if I was coming home as well, you know, and I think that's what's so important. When you feel so comfortable in an environment that should be really scary. The people that I've met along the way, they've also been a magical experience. I've made friends in so many different countries around the world, and it's been a fantastic way of not just seeing new places, but learning about new cultures in a totally different way to which I guess I would have experienced in the military.
Good evening, standing for control. This is sailing out Pelagic Australis. I'm just reaching the corner into Williamstown, Port William.
Your attention, please, sir.
We'll be docking and remaining in Stanley for approximately 3 days before heading to South Georgia. Over.
Copy, sir.
Pelagic Australis is a big expedition yacht, and we're going off to South Georgia with these crazy kayakers who we do think are crazy, and they're going to kayak around and we're going to stay in the warm next to our heater.
It doesn't matter where you live, your body is your home. Where I go, my home carries my spirit, and my spirit has a desire to explore. And that always draws me on to the next headland, the next horizon, the next adventure.